What's going on, guys? Matt over here with Lethal Camaro, and today I want to talk about something fairly serious, and I think a lot of people are running into this issue or have ran into this issue with their build, and I kind of want to probably dive a little more personal in some of my finance side of things and everything here, but I don't care because I think this video is important for people, and I'm a true believer in some of the things I'm going to say here, so whether you believe what I'm saying or not, that's fine with me, but I'm going to be as open and honest as I can be. But that's around the cost of upgrading your car and the things that you need to keep in mind. Now, I've said it many times. I've talked about it many, many times. I saved my money for a very long time to build this car that sits behind me. It's not like I just was like on a whim, fly of my pants, and was like, hey, I'm going to go buy a car today. Oh, hey, I'm going to drop all this money and upgrade the hell out of it. That was never the directive or drive for this car. I've always known I wanted to build a V8 high-po fun car that would be a daily driver. Now, I had a lot of things that I had to keep in mind: sound of the car, the drivability, how it feels, and just the raw power. Knowing that there's always a hunger. Once you get used to power, you want more and more and more and more and more, and that just gets you into really dangerous zones and places with your vehicle. Now, in my instance, I knew I wanted sound. I knew I wanted a car that sounded like an old school, muscly, grumbly V8. I settled on Stainless Works for that. I knew I was going to get a cam because I wanted that lope. I wanted that amazing sound. I did that. It was great. Thank you, Stainless. Thank you, Cunningham Motorsports Custom Cam. But at the end of the day, the cost, so first and foremost, when I got my car, I financed it. And I did that for the first 6 months because right when I pulled the trigger and ordered my car, my wife was pregnant with my son. And before that all happened, we didn't know my son was going to be born with a blood disorder. At the time that I actually picked up my car, my son was a month old. We were well into his blood disorder range, and I didn't think it would be wise to put all the money I had saved up down on a car at that specific time because I just didn't know what was going to happen. So I financed the car, put a couple grand down. Actually, it was more than a couple grand. It was about $11,000 down on the car at that time. Walked out the door, got my car. It was all great and done. 4.5 months later, 6 months later, I don't even know the timing, GM bought my car back because of major paint issues. Paint was popping off the metal. If you want to see videos around that, they're in the channel. I'll link them on the upper right-hand corner. But long story short, I ended up refinancing the car, and then I just bought it out. So, and then at that time, hospital bills were mostly manageable. My son goes into the hospital about every 6 to 8 weeks, depending on how his blood disorder is. And that being said, we were just managing that as a normal family would, trying not to go in debt and all that stuff, and just getting a gauge of how much money we were spending, per quarter or whatever the breakdown was that I determined at the time. It was like every 6, 8 weeks, so it was more often than a quarter. How much we were spending versus how much we could save and pull in. And so at that time, my son had gone in for a full blood exchange, which doesn't happen often, but when it does, it costs a lot of money. I had owned my car outright. I didn't want to go into complete debt and just spend all of our savings. So I refinanced my car at that time and had cash to be able to pay all the medical bills off. Now, luckily, since the beginning of the year and with all the Lethal Camaro decal sales, so here's some of the decals, all the different generations, and because you, the community, we haven't had to pay out of pocket for the additional bills for my son because you guys have been awesome and bought so many decals. So first off, thank you for that. But that being said, many of you guys have probably seen me go down the road since that time, installing all sorts of parts on my car, supercharger, cam, full exhaust, all that stuff. Now keep in mind, a lot of that stuff was always planned. I had all that money set aside. Now, in general, I had all that money set aside, been saving it for a very long time. We had our personal savings account. We have a savings going for a new house at some point in our lives. We would like to buy a new house. And, the other just daily life things, like 401k and all that stuff. Want to retire one day. I don't want to be working my entire life. So getting down to the nitty gritty, I had it all set aside. It was all kind of planned out. We were dealing with my son. We were dealing with all this stuff. And it got to the point where we felt very comfortable in being able to manage my son's finances for his blood disorder. any sales or anything like that from Lethal shirts and hats and all that stuff have basically all gone towards my son to date. But all the decals 100% go to him no matter what. I've set up a separate bank account that all that funds go into for that. So again, thank you for that. But I started moving forward with my build. And again, still to this day, medical bills have been fairly managed. A lot of people have been asking about my son. I've shared it. I created a video around it, all that greatness. So we basically are evened out. We're level. And a lot of that's because of you guys, and I thank you for that. But I've gotten to the point where all that money that I've saved up, it's gone. I've spent it all. I've spent it on the things that I've saved it up for. I set it up, and now I'm at a point where, like many of you out there, I'm saving to do additional upgrades and whatnot to my car. And it comes down to, how much money can you comfortably save to continue to upgrade your vehicle? Because some of the upgrades that I want to do, like the fuel system or like the forged bottom end, that's all things that I didn't necessarily save up for in my initial planning. Like, I knew I would potentially want to do them, but I didn't have all the money set aside for that. Now, I had about a couple grand extra set aside that was still left over. That's basically where I'm at for my starting point for my fuel system. Now, I have a bonus incoming from work, or maybe you got a tax return or something like that. Those kind of things can help, supplement those savings or help boost it if hey, I don't have any bills, I don't have any credit card debt or anything like that. So maybe you set aside that money for those upgrades, because I'm a firm believer that I will only buy my upgrades if I have cash. Now, you guys might be calling me out, some of you longtime fans of the channel, be like, yo, you put your tires on credit card. Yes, I did. Primary reason for that was, one, the points. Two, I didn't have the cash freed up currently to buy the tires, and I paid them off a month and a half later. So a lot of it was I had the money, but I put it on credit card because I didn't have all the cash in hand right that moment to make that purchase. So I had to liquidate a few shares of stock that I had set aside, which was my savings or part of my savings. And by doing so, I was able to get the cash to pay that off. Now, that all being said, again, I'm at that point now where I'm having to save money. And yes, I do make a few dollars on YouTube. It's not like I'm not like a Street Speed 717 or a Riley at RP Productions or a Guitarmageddon. My channel right now, I think the last time I looked, I made it averaged $500 for the month, and that's before taxes. So take taxes out of that, it's around $350, $375 roughly. So that's some income, but I do have to pay for my website hosting. I do pay for my Adobe Premiere, which is $20 a month. I pay for basically still making more decals and shirts and designs. Like, I've been trying to pay for some designs and stuff like that. I've been trying to take over most of the costs for my car. So like gas and all that, I've been trying to take that away from my normal job paycheck. So it's balancing that all out, trying to, see if the YouTube channel or whatever can support what I'm doing and what I want to do. And in that instance, I'm slowly saving up dollars to pay for the things that I still want to do, such as the fuel system and the forged bottom end. I'm still about $2,000 off, but at this point, I figure over the next 2 months, I should be able to save that up. I mentioned earlier, I do have like a little bit of a bonus coming from my work. For this last year, I got what's called a spot bonus at work. And so that vests in early July. And basically I've cleared that with my wife to be able to spend towards my car. Because I feel like, I try to put enough money into the bank and buy my wife as many things as she wants. But at the end of the day, I do feel like, my hard work has paid off and I should be able to reward myself with something. But that all being said, it's all about, for me at least, it's saving my pennies, saving my dollars to be able to buy the things that I want and pay cash for it. I try never putting it on credit card, because once you start going down the road of putting things on credit card, one, you're dealing with finance rates. Now, you can have amazing credit and have a really low finance rate, but over time, you're just paying more and more money for upgrades that would have been fairly low cost for what? The eagerness to have it now. I get it. Trust me, I'm the most impatient person you will ever meet when it comes to, if I have my mind set on something, I want it now. Like, there is no holding me back or stopping me or, anything like that. Like I want it, and I will do whatever I have to do to get it. Whether that's selling my soul, selling my computer, selling whatever, to get to that point that I want to be at. Now, I need my computer to do my rendering, so I would never do that now. But I've done that in the past. Or I'll go do extra side work. I'll go mow lawns. I'll go wash someone's car. Like, I'll do whatever it takes. And, for me, it's been a pretty humbling experience over time, just building up my credit and whatnot. But two, being able to actually just buy products with cash, or having the money in the bank and being able to pay for it. And I've not always been able to do that. I didn't always have a nice car that I could pour money into and have fun with it. Just like many of you, I struggled making minimum wage jobs and just worked my way up over the years. Like when I got into the profession that I'm in now, I think I started at $40,000 a year. 13 years later, I've gone to multiple companies, I've gotten raises, et cetera, and I've gotten to a point in my life where, I can afford to have 4 children, and I work my ass off for my job, and I love my job. I love what I get to do. I get to work in the video game space. I do basically marketing in a sense, for the easiest way to explain it to people. But I get to work around some of the biggest brands in the world and work with some of the most talented people I've ever met. Like, some of these guys should be like Pulitzer Prize winners for the things that they do in gaming. It's insane. But, it wasn't like, oh, hey, I turned 18 and all of a sudden I can just go buy everything. Like, I prioritized my life in a sense where I wanted a beautiful bride and I wanted a family. Like, those things were more important to me than buying a brand new car and pouring all my money into that. So, for many years, my wife and I were coming up on our 14-year wedding anniversary, and for many years, we drove a Jetta. I had a Dodge Caliber. I had a Chevy S10. She had a Paseo, a Toyota Paseo. Like, we didn't go off and buy a whole bunch of really nice cars and just pour money into them all the time. We watched what we can make per month. We kept having kids and balanced out our budgets and whatnot, and got to a point where we're at here. And I think our next step now is buying a house, but we're just saving up our money so we can put a lot of money down and not have such a huge house payment and really get into something we really want. Our ultimate goal would be to get into like a property, 5 acres or something like that, and build a nice big, I want to say like a big expensive house, but a nice big inexpensive house for our family, and for potentially even the idea of this channel becoming something bigger than it's ever been. And I would have never even dreamed of that thought if it wasn't for a lot of you guys tuning in and watching these videos, and just being a part of the Lethal family. So I'm rambling, I apologize, but I think overall the big point that I have here is be patient. Like, I was very patient. Yes, I leased a 5th gen Camaro, a V6 that was within the payments that I could afford for a secondary car, while I was still saving up for my other car. We went without a second car. We were a 1-car family for like 2-3 years because we wanted to save money and we could make that work. And so by doing that, I set myself up for success down the road to get what I ultimately wanted. And if you guys could be patient, or if you're in the same shoes that I was many years ago, I hope I could be somewhat inspirational in a sense to let you know, like, you don't have to have this now. Save your pennies. Do what you can. Do those side jobs. Stash away that extra money. Instead of going to get that Starbucks coffee, pocket that $5. Put it in your savings account for your brand new Camaro, or whatever car you're getting, whether it's a Mustang, Challenger, whatever. Could be whatever. I don't care. It doesn't have to be American Muscle. But do it the right way. Save your money if you can. The best advice I can give you, for those of you who are young, and I know I have a lot of guys who are young that are following the channel, you got to build up your credit. And so the biggest thing is when I was younger, I got like 3 credit cards off the bat, and I didn't care what the interest rate was, because what I would do is, like, I'd go get gas with the credit card, and then I'd go home and pay the credit card off. So basically whatever I spent, I would pay off like that day or the next day. So I would never let it reoccur for 30 days to actually get an interest charge. I'd pay it off so fast there would be no interest charge on the cost. And what that did is that it started to establish a credit history for me. And at the end of the day, it built up my credit to a point that was amazing. Pay your bills on time, never take on debt that you can't afford. I mean, credit cards are credit cards. They're not there for you to rack up to their maximum and make payments on them. They were invented for emergencies, for, everyone has times of need where, maybe someone gets in a car accident, or maybe a family member needs help, or something happens. That's what credit cards were basically invented for. And people use them for just currency, and they pay so much money in interest over time. Like, please don't do that. Try to avoid doing that. Pay them down, get rid of your credit cards, pay cash for everything, and then you owe the world nothing. And you can build your credit. Like, we still use credit cards to buy like groceries and stuff like that, and that's just to maintain a credit history, but we pay them off right away. So that way we build that credit score and all that greatness. So yeah, I'm rambling. So that's just me. That's what I do. That's what I believe in. If you guys think I'm crazy, let me know in the comments below. But hopefully you guys are not going into complete debt building cars up. I like to be able to say I own the things that I have. Now, I still owe a little bit on the car since refinancing. I'm hoping to be able to pay that down with some of the YouTube money and stuff like that over time, and just my normal wages money, and fully own the car again. But hopefully you guys can do the same thing. So either or, let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching this semi-long video. Lots of details, kind of got a little personal there, but hopefully gives you a little insight into my life. Again, I am doing this channel because I want to help people, whether it's installing things, be aspirational, inspirational, whatever. It's just been a great time creating this content, engaging with so many of you guys. I truly think of all of you as family. So I do thank you for everything, all the positive statements, coming out, seeing the car at all these different events, being a part of Instagram, just all that greatness. So thank you all. Thanks for watching the video. If I don't see you in the next video, I do hope to see you on the road.